This is Andy Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I am delighted to be joined by Anthony Crolla over Zoom. Anthony, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you, Andy. Good to see you as always, mate.
You too, mate. Obviously, just a few things to get through, and I know you're in a bit of a rush, so we'll whiz through it. Just want to start off though with your guys, and well, a girl as well, Rhiannon Dixon.
Yeah.
How is she getting on?
Mate, you know what? She's doing really well. She's improving all the time and just waiting on a fight date, really. Really, hopefully it comes soon. You know, she's been in the gym like a lot of fighters from the very start of this pandemic. She's improving all the time, and we're just hoping on that fight date very soon. An offer will come through now, so we're just sort of waiting for everything. Everything's been sort of agreed, but we just obviously want just that fight date now, hopefully soon. But I said it before, she's someone who's like with such little experience. I'm really excited about her. I don't want to put too much pressure on the girl, but yes, she can certainly fight.
James Moorcroft obviously out recently and successful. Just touch on his...
James, he's a life and soul of the gym, James. But he's another one like you couldn't meet two harder working. Listen, they're like best mates, them two, but you couldn't meet harder working fighters, you know, out there than them two. They've both come from no amateur experience. Obviously, there was with Lee Blundell, and then they joined us we started working together last August, I think it was, so middle of August. So it's obviously because of what's going on. James had the one fight under us. Hopefully, something will come up in September for him. He's one of them. He's always fit. He can take opportunities at short notice a lot. But he's doing good, doing really well, improving. His boxing ability is improving all the time, and he's starting to think and box to his strengths.
What is the plan with James moving forward, Dan?
Going forward, he was going to be involved in a really good fight with Anthony Tomlinson, but it fell through. Anthony's a great lad. I've been seeing him a lot at the fight camps, and that's possible that it could get rescheduled. If not, maybe some kind of, you know, central area title or some kind of, you know, eliminator for a domestic title, whether it be like an English title or something like that. You know, something at 10 rounds. Like I say, he's still very inexperienced, James, but he's learning at a great rate. And I always say about him, he'll get the best out of what he's got because of how hard he works. But he's also, like you say, he has got boxing ability, and that's improving all the time.
Just move on to Gallagher's gym. Obviously, Tasha Jonas returning at fight camp as well. Talk about Tasha. How's she getting on?
Tasha she's good. Actually, just been speaking to her, but she's. So I've been saying it for a bit, and as she's getting older, like a fine wine, I think you see, as a professional, our last two performances have been the best two performances. So, although she didn't, you know, get the result that she wanted, I think she's shown the level that she's at. She's out on fight camp. I think it's week 3. So yeah, I think it's due to just Joe on that. I don't know if it's an 8 or 10 rounder, and then looking to get straight back in there, fight for a title and get that world title. I think everybody could, no doubt, you know, say she doesn't deserve. She deserves. Sorry.
Moving on to Callum Johnson, we saw him return to the ring a few months back, which was great to see. How's he doing? And I know he had a few injuries and niggles.
DJ's good. He's good. He just had an injury that stopped him being on the middle of July when Lyndon and Yadi are on the same show. But I think Joe was saying the other day he's going out in August. So he's in the gym. Callum's one of them. If he's not in the gym, he'll be doing a lot on the bike and what about setting that sort of challenges. So he's always fit, active, very strong. But obviously, he's in the position where Joe's like, I think Frank will obviously deliver for him, but he's had the fight back now and he's ready to be, I won't say let off the leash, but in with absolutely anyone, really.
I was going to say, who does, I know you can mention world title holders and what have you, but who is kind of in frame for Callum?
I'm not sure. I know Joe, a bit back, he was mad for the Smith fight, which I think would be pure violence, wouldn't it? I think I've said that before, but Joe, like, obviously studying the champions, I think he'd obviously put Callum with any of them, and Callum himself, the madman's mad for the rematch of Beterbiev. But any really, I think he'd happily put him in with any light heavyweight. I mean, Joe has confirmed that, but I think he'd happily put him in with any light heavyweight.
Last week we saw Paul Butler and Jose Alberto return to the ring, both
Yeah.
with wins. Just want to touch on both of their victories. Start off with Paul.
Yeah.
A majority decision win or a split decision win. Just got to
Yeah.
get your thoughts on that first and foremost.
Listen, I think Alfred was brilliant at what he does. I thought he got that wrong. I thought it'd be very hard to see how Paul didn't win. And well, listen, the Mexican was very, very game, and we knew he was going to come all night. And Joe was saying he was sending me videos through, saying, Paul's in for a tough night here. And Paul himself, once saw it, he thought, this is every bit as tough, if not tougher, than a Gevco, despite the pedigree. And I think Paul almost looked as if he was going to have the perfect night when such a classy shot that put him over. But I think it became pretty clear pretty quickly he wasn't going anywhere. I think he'd still be going now, wouldn't he? But I think for me, Paul, he's so talented. It's a joy to watch. I think for me, I feel so lucky holding pads for him and stuff when Joe asked me and stuff. Just very well-rounded fighter, lovely skills. And yeah, now I think obviously I'm not sure what the situation is now with the WBO. Obviously, final eliminator was meant to be with a Gebco. So he's knocking on the door with, obviously, I think a few organisations rated highly. So in a red hot division, he's thereabouts, isn't he? As for Jose, Jose is his own worst critic. He really is. And he wasn't so happy, but I thought he boxed very well. I thought a very good shot to finish it against the very game fighter in Liam Conroy. We've got a lot of respect for. But I said it sort of time and time again, he's not had that look as in I really believe he should have been given another British title shot. I say it all the time. Frank that night was just some superhuman effort for him to come back the way he did. And I think now sort of how the build-up, and then maybe because he was involved in the golden contract, he was mandatory sort of getting, put out. So it just seemed very odd how he didn't get a shot down the line again. But listen, he's a winner, sort of. I said, so after you've come through, you've got a good stoppage against a good fighter, be happy and stuff. And I say it all the time, Ulf's one of my oldest friends in boxing. And I want him to get what he deserves out of it. I was gutted with a golden contract. Obviously, he fought a very good Bolotniks. There's a few things that night that didn't go his way, but listen, don't make excuses or sound like so great. But it's and he's shown since actually what a good fighter he is. So that obviously Bolotniks is a barnstormer, isn't it? So yeah, no, but I think like I say, Joe's happy. Joe's had a few days off deserved, and I'll be back with him on Monday. I've been in the gym this week, just taking over with some of them. But like I say, the fighters of mine, obviously Jake James, who boxed on his own as well, and Alex is in the gym always. He lives it, and that's it, mate. Yeah, so we just I'm obviously going to get ready in a minute. Head over to the show tonight. Boxing, isn't it, mate?
It's good to have so many shows back, though, and
yeah, brilliant.
Just maybe sticking with Jose, obviously Craig Richards holds that British title, whether he vacates or not be another question. But if that was to go ahead and he was going to be Jose versus Craig, how do you think Jose would fare?
Mate, I've got a lot of time for Craig. In the bubble when Tash fought Katie Marcus was on with Junior, she's on the Parker card. I spent a good bit of time speaking to Craig, and gentleman he is. Listen, obviously, be working with Ofer and find a way to win, but there's no denying there's big improvement in him. There's big improvement. I think it's a much harder fight now for than what it once was. I think he's found the right way for himself. But I say it all the time. I've seen it in the gym. Ofer on his day is capable of beating any of them. It really is, and it's we'll see what Craig does. If Craig holds on to the British show, he looks to push on. But Ofer's obviously the British title is a lovely, lovely belt. I think one of my biggest regrets. It was just the path that I went on. He's not getting one for keeps. But yeah, I know what it means to Wolf as well. Do you know what I mean? I know what it means to Wolf. So he's a man on a mission to get that British title back.
And one of your adopted brothers will go with recently announced his retirement, Stephen Swifty Smith.
Yeah.
I just want to obviously get your thoughts on Swifty's announcement.
Nah, Stephen's obviously I knew it was coming, but just a great career, and great. I say it all the time, like that sounding soft. You couldn't meet a better person. You know yourself, Stephen's a great night out as well in the Andi, going back to Texas. But I've got loads of love for him, and he's just he's I say it all the time. People don't realise what a great amateur he was. You know, a European medalist, unlucky not to go to the Olympics, won it all. Like, don't know how many national titles. When you could argue he was the best. I'm going to say he is anyway. He was the best amateur out of a lot of them, for sure. But I just, as a world title, I thought he sort of didn't get that look with. I think he fought a very good Pedraza, sort of last good fight at that weight. Very good fight at Pedraza, and then Sosa over in Monaco. That was a great fight. Just a nightmare start. But he had some great nights as well. He had some great nights. I said it at the time. I'll never forget the night he beat Gary Buckland. I think you forget because Gary was absolutely flying at the time, and he was known for just how tough he was. And I swear, warming up, like it's no than the boys, I was like, Joe had been doing bits of technique when I'd been sparring with him. I just boxed Gary recently, and I was doing a lot of sparring with him for that. And I knew he was as sharp as ever. And I was telling everyone, like, get on him. And obviously, like, Gary was favourite at times, absolutely flying. But he was hitting so hard. And in the build-up, he was going through the shot. Joe had me going through the shot with him. And Jesus, I remember my little boy was due like not long after, so I didn't stop over like after the fight. And I remember the mate driving. I'm sure I was concussed on the way home, like just going through it, like he was hitting me. And I thought, if he lands that, and thankfully he did, and it was the best knockout I've seen, the scariest knockout as well, but the best knockout I think I've ever seen up close like that. It was the perfect shot. But no, he had some great nights as well. And listen, like Bichero, he's a quality fighter. He had some quality wins, was in with some quality lads, and no one done a job that night. I think there's timing, a few things with timing. You need that bit of luck to win a world title. It doesn't matter how good you are. I know that myself. You need a bit of luck to win a world title. And I don't believe Stephen just got that, but listen, a great career nonetheless. And I'd like to say, don't Stephen, they'll stay involved in some way for sure.
Stephen's brother Callum, again, caught up with him the other day, speaking about his return up at 175. Again, yeah. You've obviously also got loyalties to Callum and to Callum Johnson, that is, and to Hosea, but Smith in there as well. Are you confident we'll see him pick up a world title or become a two-weight champion?
Yeah, I think there's I really believe he will be. I think he'll be a better fighter. When I say a better fighter, just be more comfortable at that weight. Do you know what, Andy? Obviously, he was in Texas, and I'm not saying. Remember the night before being super confident, even like with Canelo, but I remember just seeing Callum the night before the weigh-in, and it just, for the first time, listen, I've seen people a lot worse, but there was something that I'd not seen before where he just didn't have that energy and stuff. And I know people, and I think it just took its, toll, and really 100% did, I think, on the night, and it just took took that edge off him. And listen, he had 12 rounds in Canelo, but it wasn't the Callum, the beast, that super middleweight who we'd seen. I know you could argue, it's down to opponent as well, and possibly, but he'll certainly be a lot more comfortable at light heavyweight, and he's more than big enough, as we've seen. And listen, he's not got a fight on, like, he might not have to fight on financial like that, but he wants to win another world title, and I believe he will do, and, be rooting for him massively to do it.
And just want to get your thoughts on a few other fights and fighters coming up before I let you go. We haven't had a chance to speak since Pacquiao-Spence was recently about a month or so ago. Now, out of the blue. What do you make of it? What do you think will happen?
Mate, unbelievable fight. Respect to Manny Pacquiao. It's probably, me, there's one fight I could see, Crawford, Spence. I think most people lean towards Spence. I lean towards Crawford, but I think he's an unbelievable fighter, Spence. You've got to make him a favourite, and I don't see past a Spence win. But listen, it's mad. Pacquiao still defying after all these years by people. So when you think back to the time he got beat off Jeff Horn and something like that, no disrespect, and when he looked like certainly his best days was behind him, and it's in the eye, you'd be very surprised to see anyone who said otherwise. But I think that. With Spence and Pacquiao
on the screen, sorry.
Mate, one sec. I'm back. Someone rang me.
Okay.
So I'll go back. Yeah, I think with Spence and Pacquiao, I just think too fresh, too big. And it's just whether Spence gets that late stoppage or not.
Another fight which is deemed to be close, Regis-Prograis and Mikey Garcia at 140.
What a fight. What a fight. Oh, that's hard to pick a winner. That I don't know which way I go. Listen, I think Prograis is class. I think him and Taylor was one of the best fights I remember seeing recently. Real close fight. Two unbelievable fighters put it on the line, didn't they? And him and Garcia, it's hard to say with Garcia because there's no denying Garcia is a class act. And technically for me, and it's just very complete, one of the best fighters. They're, pound for pound still, but he's just not been active, has he? When I say that, I think potentially one of the best. I couldn't argue him being in the top 5 because of recent activity and stuff like that. Mate, I don't know who to pick to win that one. I really don't. I don't really just lean towards Garcia. Garcia is not a welterweight. That's a tough one. Like I said, I rate Prograis really highly. Come back to me actually on the winner of that. And I think very smooth, heavy hands. Yeah, come back to me on that one.
I will do, man. Just moving down to 135, your old division. We saw Gervonta Davis versus Mario Barrios at 140, but obviously Davis can drop back to 135. Just want to get your thoughts firstly on his win against Barrios and your thoughts on kind of what could be next for him.
We want to see him back at lightweight, don't we? That's where there's so many big fights. There's no denying he's an unbelievable puncher. Listen, a great fighter as well. The only worry is I think we just don't know how good he is. And then it's a bit, gutting when you're hearing like Mayweather saying, "No, we're not here to make other fighters great, and we'll fight. We keep it in the Mayweather sort of family, the PBC family." With those people, and listen, I get, there's politics, but hopefully there is, the 4 kings who they talk about. Would love to see him in with any of them. For me as well, one of the fights I'd love to see most is the man who's forgotten about the 4 kings, but reminded people last week, Lomachenko, Gervonta Davis. That's an unbelievable fight. Josh Taylor, Gervonta Davis. There's a little bit of back and forth there. Any of them with Gervonta Davis, there's no denying he is one of the must-see fighters in the boxing for sure. But there's no denying he's an unbelievable puncher.
You mentioned Lomachenko there. Obviously, after his fight, they started to, beating up a bit of talk of a rematch with Teofimo Lopez. If that one did go ahead, do you think we'll see anything different this time around?
Mate, it's interesting, isn't it? I think you'd see a lot quicker start from Lomachenko, a lot more aggressive. It's hard. Obviously, we saw Teofimo Lopez, didn't we? We saw him sound and talking to him out there. I just couldn't believe how big he was, and he didn't look fat, did he? Just the frame of him, and I think, how does he make like that? So I think his dad said weekend, didn't he? He's got to be next. I think he said, didn't he? And I think you would think that because I know he's got to come through the Kambosos fight. He's so up for it, but I think, listen, it's hard to look past Lopez winning that fight. Lomachenko done the perfect job. A common opponent, he's done the more impressive job. We'd love to see Lomachenko and Lopez again. I think the build-up would be fun.
Moving forwards again, and just final couple of things. When we last spoke, there was a lot of talk about the undisputed bout between AJ and Fury. Obviously, it all fell through. Now we'll see Fury Wilder 3 and AJ Usyk most probably seems like that first. Just want to get your thoughts on both of them. Firstly, do we see anything different in a trilogy bout between Fury and Wilder?
No, I don't listen. You can never count Wilder out because of the power that he carries. So you can never forget that. And he's been pretty so out there with the training he's putting out. It looks well there. It's under Malik Scott, isn't it? I think obviously his behaviour's been mental since he got beat. It's his mental state to sort of worry about like that. But I just believe once Fury puts it back on him, if he's not hit Fury and hit him early and got him out there and talking in 1 or 2 rounds, I see Tyson doing a very similar job.
And then on AJ Usyk, what do you make of it, Ant?
Yeah, that's a good fight. I think you've got to give AJ loads of respect for that because it's a tough fight. I think stylistically, he's one of the people out there who you think could cause AJ the most problems. Listen, I think with size and AJ being switched on, I go with AJ. But listen, it won't be a massive shock. I think everyone knows that. But you've got to give AJ a lot of credit. When you look at opponents who he's been in with, I say it all the time, for someone who's an Olympic champion, 2 times world champion, he's inexperienced still. Do you know what I mean? Which is crazy. But listen, I go with AJ to do it. But obviously, listen, you wouldn't be surprised with the boxing brain and Usyk. I know they fancy it massively, the fight, you know, if it went the other way.
Right, and we will leave that there now. Leave you to crack on with the rest of your
Andy,
day.
good to see you, man.
Cheers.
I'll catch up soon, hopefully.
Will do, man. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
In a bit, mate.